In this world, we've lost all the Saiyans in existence. Where do we look? The back of the sofa? That one corner of the house that's really hard to reach for some reason? Maybe looking in the Dragon Ball equivalent of the River Styx? Hey folks, MasakoX here. We've done a lot for Frieza's legacy on this channel. We've given him multiple stories to change his character arc, including the chance to become a good boy. Or at least a good boy to some degree, the most he could possibly get without it getting silly and not remaining true to his persona. But in this story, we're not exactly going to be making him a nice person, but we are at least going to be giving him a sense of perspective with the arrival of his fabled son, Kuriza. This character isn't one that we've made up for the sake of a what if or anything. This is not fan-made. This progeny of the Emperor is all Toriyama, baby. From the annals of Nekomajin Z, Kariza is the descendant of Frieza and can even go to final form like his dad. But how did his origins come about in a show post-Broly and Z? And why would his dad want kids in the main timeline? Well, simply put, we believe Frieza got lonely. Despite becoming the Space Emperor once more, getting a second chance remarkably, Frieza wanted to ensure that his line would continue when he was gone, or if the Dragon Team got rid of him again. Or if ice people could age in the traditional sense. And what better way to do that than do what King Cold did with him, spawning a child facsimile and showing him the ropes. But he couldn't do it alone, not now. In this timeline, he is using his pragmatism and realizing that the Dragon Team are sort of good at showing people the ropes themselves and making people into more rounded characters. Prominent rounded characters though, ooh, that's up in the air, especially if you're a human. However, in the last part, things got a lot more complicated for all concerned. With the son of Frieza becoming quite soft as well as more friendly with Earthlings, actually quite liking it there than his father could ever hope to be, Kariza got kidnapped by Cooler, his uncle, who had taken an interest in his nephew and got the chance to get one over Frieza in the most direct and heinous way possible. Not only that, but Cooler got a hold of the Dragon Balls and managed to use his wish on the dragon to seemingly erase Saiyans from existence. Yes, that does include half Saiyans too. If you've got Saiyan DNA in you, oh, I feel sorry for you. So the children were erased too. Something that Kariza found harrowing. And as for Frieza, he now has to figure out this quandary on his own. Without a ship, without his son, who he actually didn't really care about because he wasn't useful. Well, actually, Frieza's not got anything. In the depths of space, Frieza was stewing with nobody to boss around. In the blink of an eye, his brother had gotten the better of him and was trying to usurp him and his empire, all for the sake of a brotherly squabble. He had to do something to get back at him and make sure that none of his affairs were sullied with, or worse, completely written over. But there was a very pressing problem. No, it's not the need to breathe in space, of course, because he's okay with that. He can't travel far without a ship on his own. So what else can he do? This, in his mind, might be it. He might be heading back to his own personal hivel again. Oh no, he'd have to see those blasted torturing fairies once more. His thoughts, however, got interrupted, thankfully, by a small ship that came into view, approaching him from not too far away. The vessel bore the insignia of his own force. A few hours ago, the sight of this would have been very, very pleasing to him to see this craft. But now though, he was wary. Had Cooler changed his mind about letting him go and had now decided to finish him off when he was at his lowest ebb, where he couldn't actually defend himself? Thankfully for Frieza, it wasn't anyone dodgy. Surprisingly, it actually turned out to be Kikuno and Berry Blue, his two most loyal subjects. Frieza broke into a smile and praised the ingenuity of his oldest allies. Oh, you old dogs. Nothing gets past you two. They had clearly managed to sneak behind Cooler's back and steal a small exploration vessel. With the hatch to the cargo hold of that ship open, Frieza flew straight into it and very glad to actually get some fresh air into his lungs once more. Much nicer than not breathing and being stuck in the coldness of space. When the autopilot had been set, the pair of Kikuno and Berry Blue met with their true master.
Well, my lord, I see you had had enough of enjoying the view firsthand.
Berry Blue had clearly not lost her snark even in the middle of a power grab. Ha ha, very funny. Now let's get out of here.
Where to, Lord Frieza?
uttered Kikuno.
Are you going to show your brother who is the strongest space emperor so soon after your loss?
Now, the Emperor normally would have given his minion a smack for that, but there were bigger matters at hand at the moment, so Kikuno got away with it. Frieza lets out a deep sigh.
No, as much as I hate to admit it, I cannot defeat him alone. To go back in again right now would not only be foolish, it would also be the last thing I ever did in this mortal coil. I doubt I would get another chance at life after this one. No. Instead, we head for Earth. Surely some of the Earthlings have survived Cooler's wrath. They're like space roaches.
But the problem with Frieza's plan was that he was no longer in charge of a mothership that could traverse long distances in mere hours, or at most a couple of days. The ship that they were on right now was near the bottom of the rung in that regard. It wasn't really designed for this kind of long-distance space travel. It was only meant for nearby jaunts, space hopper. As a result, it took the trio a few weeks to get to Earth, and by the time they got there, they were in dire straits and longing for the company of other entities. When they attempted to land on Earth, they were welcomed by some sort of drone defense system. Instead of slipping in unnoticed, a tinny tannoy met their ears.
Stay where you are, or you'll be blown to pieces,
said a certain female voice through the communication systems. Instead of being intimidated though, Frieza held his arms behind his back and puffed his chest out. He wasn't going to be taunted by some drone. I'm Lord Frieza, and I demand to talk to your leader. The drones got even more aggressive, having even fired some warning shots at the vessel. Kikuno was frantically diverting power to the front shields.
Lord Frieza, be careful! This craft is not as robust as you think. One direct hit, and we're going down.
Frieza scowled. Hold yourself, Kikuno. I did not hire cowards. We do not budge. The tannoy bled into life again.
Frieza, you slime. Tell us what you've done with my family and the other Saiyans. If you don't tell me or get the hell out of here, I will blow that little tin can of yours out of the sky.
Frieza spat venom back. Control yourself, Earthwoman. I had nothing to do with that confrontation.
I know that it's hard to believe, but it was not myself. My brother started all this mess, and I do not intend to emulate him in any way. In fact, I am here because I need... You need what?
Barry Blue nodded at Frieza, trying to encourage him to finish that sentence. But the Emperor had difficulties in spitting the sentence out of his mouth.
I need...
It was like he was dry heaving. I require your assistance. The drone zoomed closer, as if the woman was probing Frieza directly.
Why would I help you?
Frieza remained composed, though.
Because my brother has kidnapped my son, and he's stronger than me, all right? Does that make you feel any better? Have I passed your little test, whatever you Earthlings do? We need to get your stupid friends back as well, in order to do so.
There was a pause before the woman replied in a more clipped tone.
I believe you. For now. Permission to land.
Frieza tried desperately to remember this one's name before meeting with them. He recognized the voice for sure, though. It was Vegeta's mate. That was definitely true. It was the inventor person, but it started with a B. Oh, he was pretty sure of that, but the rest, though, not a clue. They met in one of the Capture Corp buildings adjacent to the central one, and he had to admit that the blue-haired lady looked as tired and haggard as himself. They were clearly very distressed by this whole affair.
So, how did he do it? How did he get one over us and take away all that we care about? Care about? I didn't think you cared about anything. Yes, get the wisecracks out of the way, woman. Explain what happened here.
Bulma sighed.
Well, now that I know that you weren't the one behind all of this, apparently, I think he used the Dragon Balls to do it. Oh, so can't we just gather them again and wish them back?
Bulma gave him a piercing and patronizing look.
Do you seriously think that we don't know how the Dragon Balls work? First of all, the balls are inert. In order for them to be active again, we need to wait 365 solar days on our planet. Next, it's kind of weird because Shenron couldn't just erase them outright. It's sort of beyond his power to do so. He can't do it, really.
So, what are you inferring?
I think he moved them somewhere, far enough that they can't even use instant transmission to escape.
What? Instant transmission? You mean that annoying thing that Son Goku does these days?
Yeah.
Frieza thought for a while in silence. Okay, well, can't we just ask Lord Beerus and his angel manservant to fix this? Bulma sighed deeply.
I already tried. They don't want to interfere in mortal matters. They said solving this is something we could easily do ourselves.
Frieza scoffed loudly.
So you have no ideas in that big brain of yours, Tinker Lady?
Bulma glared at Frieza.
I didn't say that. There is one option.
Bulma looked like she was hesitating for a while.
So get on with it. Don't be holding back vital information now.
Fine, there is another set of Dragon Balls. A new Namek.
Woman, I hate to state the obvious, but I blew up Namek, don't you remember? Wait,
what do you mean, new? Bulma knew that she would immediately regret telling him this. Meanwhile, on the capital ship of the Freezer Force, Cooler, or rather Salza, has to deal with a really unruly Kuriza. Instead of being a mewling infant complying with everything, Kariza had instead grown quite defiant, especially during his time on Earth, very much remembering the training that he had received, especially from Vegeta. He was dodging Salza's grasp quite handily.
Oh, come back, you little!
Yelled Salza after Kariza threw another bowl at him.
Uncle said I have to be unharmed. Joke's on him. I don't want to be here. What are you going to do about it? You can't touch me, said Kuriza in an annoying sing-song voice, and he then climbed into the ship's vents to further infuriate his babysitter. Damn you. Why would Monsieur Cooler task me with such babysitting, especially with such a frustrating brat?
Cooler, on the other hand, was busy getting up to speed with the Empire's borders and planning his next invasions. It's kind of funny, actually. What with all the power that his brother had, he could have easily just regained or even expanded the old borders. Well, I mean, he would have been going on with doing this had it not been for all the noise going on. Oh, please, for the love of my father's corpse, Salza, deal with that child. I said he has to be relatively unharmed. The chase, however, continued for many hours, as Salza didn't want to damage the ship even more than it was already. The ship's repair droids could only do so much at such a rate, until he realized that Kariza wasn't making any noise anymore. He had fallen asleep in one of the deeper corners of the vessel, which was only accessible to someone of his size. Salza was too big to reach him.
Well, at least I wore him down. If he weren't a relative of Monsieur Cooler, I'd...
But Kariza was only pretending to be asleep. He was hatching a plan in his head. His new friends were gone. His father apparently didn't want him. So now, instead, he was going to make the lives of everyone on the ship as miserable as he could. Meanwhile, Bulma, Berry Blue, Kikuno, and Krillin, as well as Piccolo, were traveling towards New Namek.
So let me get this straight, probed the former emperor. You've managed to hide an unguarded second set of Dragon Balls away from me for all this time? I must say, that is rather impressive.
It's not unguarded. New Namek is far more fortified than before. And if you ever think of trying to meddle with them, Piccolo warned Frieza.
Then what? We need to wish everyone that is able to stop me back. I'm hardly going to be doing something so stupid as to going against you right now. Let's stop the infighting for now. The problem is that Namekians may not be so happy after sensing you nearby. So you're gonna have to apologize.
The Emperor blinked twice.
You've got to be joking.
I mean, it worked with Vegeta.
No, really. Are you really expecting me to... Berry Blue interrupted her leader, showing signs of weariness. You don't need to mean it, my lord. You just have to say the words. That will be enough. But act now. The longer we hesitate, the longer your brother is messing with what we've accomplished since your return. I see wisdom in your words, Berry Blue. All right, human woman. Proceed. That's a shocker. I never thought Frieza knew anyone whose opinion he respects other than his own. You must be really important, lady. Bulma smirked. Oh, I assure you, Miss Bulma. Much like you, I know how to deal with hard-headed individuals.
They both laughed at this, much to Frieza's and Piccolo's unease. Finally, the team indeed managed to get to New Namek. It did indeed take a lot of explaining to state that Frieza genuinely wasn't here to cause trouble this time, although Mori wasn't really super happy about the fact that Bulma and Piccolo had brought him here on their own accord. They did agree though to summon Porunga, and Frieza had to fight every fiber of his being not to sabotage the whole thing and take one wish for himself. Great Porunga! We want you to undo the wish that caused the disappearance of all the Saiyans.
That is beyond my power. We eternal dragons cannot do such things.
So, how can we save them?
Shenron could not erase your friends, so he put them in a place that you cannot escape alone. Even I cannot transport them out. However, I can transport you to that realm that hosts your friends. You can attempt to help them from the inside.
Frieza looked at the Namekian translating for the dragon.
Wait. He said attempt. So do you mean that there's not even a guarantee that... We agree, said Bulma. What? No, wait! You're gonna send us to...
Frieza tried to protest.
Your wish is granted.
In one swift move, the entire gang disappeared in a bright flash. After they came to their senses, our heroes awoke in a very dark, underground tunnel. When Bulma turned on her flashlight, she discovered that they were in some sort of labyrinth with way too many openings and corridors to even get their bearings.
Well, good job, Earthwoman. Where are we exactly?
The Emperor looked around. Piccolo fixed his gaze. I think I know where we are. This place. It's the Earth Prison.
The Earth Prison?
Yes. It was used as a test for souls to cleanse themselves before either regaining their bodies or...
Frieza sighed loudly. Oh well, at least there are no noisy fairies or teddy bears here.
And that's where we're going to be leaving things for right now. So what do you folks think? Can Bulma, Frieza, and the others venture through Earth Prison and save the Saiyans? Will Kariza be able to postpone Cooler's plans? Leave a comment below and let's get this discussion going. And I shall see you in the next video. Catch you later!